And first things first, please go to incomeprotectionatlanta.com. Be sure to go to incomeprotectionatlanta.com and join our free newsletter. Upon joining our newsletter email list, you will receive a free copy of our special report entitled Protect Your Income in Atlanta. It's a $27 value, and in this report, you will learn about income protection insurance. You will learn about trends in unemployment and employee benefits in Atlanta, and you'll definitely want to learn about this if you're relying on your benefits to be there to support you. You'll also learn about how health insurance can bankrupt you, as well as many other shocking facts about personal finance in Atlanta.
And couple questions on that line. Number one is, what coming trends are you seeing in the industry? I know that we're seeing, for example, with Arthur Andersen, that things can just turn on a dime like that. Do you think that that's an indication of what's to come, or do you think that's a reflection of what's going on in the economy? What do you see moving forward?
Well, I don't think Arthur Andersen, of course, that happened way before the economic downturn that we're now experiencing. But I do think it might have been a precursor, perhaps, of some of the financial scandals that we have witnessed recently.
Right.
I mean, Arthur Andersen was involved in Enron, as if you remember, and it had to do with, at the time, the biggest financial scandal. And but it didn't end there, of course, and we're still seeing and reading about financial fraud and the Bernie Madoffs, and I think recently there was another up in New York, another trader who was doing inside trading. And so I'm not sure if the two are linked, meaning what happened to Arthur Andersen and economic decline. I don't think they're linked, but though there could be a case could be made that they are. But as far as trends are concerned, I'm seeing more self-regulation. Of course, the accounting industry is primarily or the accounting profession, is more self-regulated than it is government regulated. But the government did come up with a Sarbanes-Oxley, which is a burden, if as some companies see, on all businesses, on all corporations of certain size. So there has been, I guess, more self-regulation and more governmental regulation in the accounting industry. And I'm seeing it now in the tax preparation, the income tax preparation, with IRS requirements that all tax preparers should at least have what they call a preparer tax ID number, which if you're not a certified public accountant or an enrolled agent, you would have to pass a test before you can get from the IRS. So regulation seems to be or more regulation seems to be the trend right now. And then the other trend that I'm seeing, which is related to the economic downturn that we're experiencing, is a downward pressure on fees. I mean, clients, many of my clients are struggling in this economy. And, and of course, we've had to accommodate the general economic situation by reducing some of our fees in order to be able to stay in business. So that's probably two trends there: regulation and depressed fees in this time frame.
What have you found as a method to respond to this issue? I know that we have, the simple and obvious idea of just having to lower your fees. Is there any other creative methods that you've come up with?
Yes, of course. I mean, if you're merely going to compete on fees, then you're quickly going to go out of business. I mean, there's no way you can compete on fees with, in the industry, because you're going to have more work than you're going to have time to do that work, and eventually you're either going to be cutting corners, making mistakes, and then suffer the fate of Arthur Andersen by some kind of scandal, by endorsing something that's not true, or by preparing tax returns that are not accurate, and thereby you're going to, through your clients, incur liabilities and penalties. Or you're not going to keep up with the work if you want to do the level of scrutiny that's required in creating a good product. You're not going to be able to keep up with the work, and thereby you're going to lose clients merely by not being able to keep up with their demands. So competing on price, competing on fees is not the answer. And back in 2008, when the economy basically bottomed out and there were fears of deflation, and I was experiencing it, and back then we were about a year old, and the firm was primarily trying to create payroll service and then accounting and income tax service strategy. We discovered that our competition basically had lowered fees so much that we gained no clients whatsoever. And so back in 2008, at least in the payroll, back in 2008, the shock of it was so great that we had to, I had companies, a company out in New Jersey bidding for service at $12, I believe, base fee, and $1 for each employee. I did the numbers, and they were running it at a loss. There was no way. There was no way they were able to. Maybe they were outsourcing it to India, as I've been approached by some companies to do for certain price. Maybe they were, but they were definitely not maintaining the level of quality that I would want to expect.
Right.
Or would want to see in payroll firm. And like I said, back then we were primarily payroll and then accounting and income tax. So since then, after we lowered it, we found that it was not sustainable. Even though we did not go down as low as that New Jersey company, at the level we did go down to was not sustainable. I could not hire qualified accountants to do the work and have a dependable service, quality service. So we did increase our fees this year for the first time since we started the firm. And lo and behold, we lost one company that really had one employee, and they did not see, the value in them staying with us, which is fine, because I could see their point of view. They only had one employee, and since we only increased our fixed fee, not our variable fee, to them it was almost 100% increase. So, but for bigger companies, with the fixed fee increase was not that substantial, but it was still quite an increase. And now I feel we're not the most expensive payroll service, but we're not the cheapest either. But we are at the level where we can at least sustain the quality that I want us to sustain.
Right. Okay. And would that be your main competitive advantage, the quality of your services?
Of course. I have those discussions with a lot of my clients, and every client, whether right or wrong, whether they're telling the truth or not, they're going to come to me and say, well, so-and-so will do it for a lot less. And I say, well, so-and-so is not me. At the end of the day, I've seen so-and-so work. I've gained, new clients who had CPAs doing their work previously, and one recent acquisition was under audit, and his previous accountant had done him such a disservice where the IRS was demanding $18,000 for the year of audit. And when I reviewed the account, not only did we find that he did not owe any taxes, he was due a refund, and that was a big swing. And to even expound on that a little bit more, the errors on the tax returns prepared by that previous CPA was so flagrant, I didn't even have to look too deep. I could see them. They were so apparent. They were clear errors. They were mathematical errors, you've heard what a balance sheet is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Balance sheet.
Income statement and balance sheet.
Right. A balance sheet has to be in balance. That's why it's called a balance sheet.
Right.
Well, this guy had prepared a tax return where the balance sheet was not in balance. That's how wrong it was. So, yes, I will always come back to the value to what they're getting. To me, my clients are getting a big firm value, being that I come from a big firm experience and big company experience. They're getting that value, but they're getting it at a local CPA firm fees because we don't have all the overhead. And we don't have the big salaries that the big firms are paying. Although we would like to have those, but, we're realistic and we have to grow into that. And, and part of that is reputation. Part of that is exposure and exposure to the marketplace.
Right. Right. And a couple more questions, Ghassan.